Hi, and welcome to this episode of the Insurance Experts. It's my pleasure to have on the line Rob Brai. Rob is an insurance expert. He's been in the business for many years, and I'm really excited to have you on the line today. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Mark.
So, today we're going to talk about the topic of underwriting overall. But before we get into that, I wanted to hear a little bit about your perspective. Where did you kind of begin your career, and then how has underwriting become one of the main things that you've been focusing on?
Sure. I came into this career as a career changer, had my own business, sold the business, and decided I liked the idea of being an entrepreneur, didn't want to go work for someone else, wanted to have more control over who I worked with, my work schedule, etc. And then I got into the business of life insurance and migrated towards long-term care through the experiences I had with my mother dealing with Alzheimer's, starting to look at what her financial plan was, seeing some of the holes that mom had, and how we were going to help mom get through her Alzheimer's to live a decent life. So I wanted to become a resource to my family and friends to help them protect their income in retirement, just like we have disability insurance to protect our income while we're working. We want to make sure when we enter retirement, we have uh, protection to protect the income that we're going to earn in our retirement.
Yeah, very interesting. And I know in the life insurance and the long-term care world, underwriting plays an important factor in that. I know personally you had also had an experience, with health, and kind of how did that impact or color your perspective on the process of, getting an application approved?
Sure. So I wound up having a heart attack when I was 47, and that was a wake up call for me. I have some pre existing genetic condition that caused the heart attack, but it made me look at life a little bit differently. Fortunately, early in my career, I got hooked up with a Northwestern Mutual life agent and bought my whole life insurance, and I've got two disability policies. So as I sat on the table getting ready for surgery, I was calm in the notion that if anything happened to me, I was going to be protected. But as I got older and wanted to protect my own retirement, last June was the anniversary of my heart surgery. I wound up having bypass surgery. And I said, is 10 years long enough? And as we know in the insurance world, sometimes time can help. And if you haven't had a reoccurrence of a health condition that you had pre-existing for a long enough time, underwriting will look favorably on that. So I
Mhm.
did spend some time talking to underwriting, giving them my full medical history, the surgery I had, the drugs that I'm currently on, before I went ahead with the application. And those discussions made me feel a little bit better that, hey, there's a chance here I might get approved. So
Yep.
last July, I wound up getting approved for my own long-term care policy, and it was one of the happiest days of my life.
Not a lot of people say that about buying insurance, right? Which it could be the happiest days of your life.
Yeah.
But if you do have health issues, we come across this a lot in the long-term care world as well. Sometimes getting access to that policy and that plan for your family can be a pretty big deal. So we're not exaggerating it too much when we say that. Now, I think that's another good thing you brought awareness to, that sometimes a health condition you had in the past, the way that the underwriters might look at it now might be different, either because time has passed or because there's new products, or maybe the underwriting has changed for the products. And I want you to talk a little bit about the process, because a lot of people, who are not in the industry, they don't have transparency about how this works. It's really pretty actually quick and easy and free to do that assessment before you actually apply, so you can find out what to expect. Tell us a little bit about what that looks like when you ask, the life insurance or the long-term care company to how to pre-qualify them.
Sure. On the long-term care side, certainly you want to have a discussion with someone that has been in the underwriting process. And most insurance companies have experts in the office that have spent some time in underwriting and understand, what are knockouts, what aren't knockouts. So the more you
Mhm.
know about your client's health history, any surgeries they've had, any pre-existing conditions, what sort of medications they're on, how long they've been taking it, have they had subsequent uh, admissions to the hospital, have they had recent admissions to the hospital. Certainly, insurance companies don't like things that have happened within the last 6 months. So,
Mhm.
as an agent, you do your client a service by asking all these questions up front. And sometimes it can be uncomfortable, but you're really doing them a service because you're giving them the best chance to get approved,
Mhm.
or you're letting them know that, hey, based on what I'm hearing, there could be a chance you're not going to get improved, but I'm going to review your case with underwriting. And clients appreciate the time you spend there, because people want to get approved. They want to be able to get the insurance, but they don't want to be given false hope.
Right. And I think people are afraid of the underwriting process because they're afraid of having all this invasive testing and things like that. Well, what you're talking about, which is the pre-underwriting, so to speak, the pre-qualification, it's just a matter of doing an interview with somebody who you may have a relationship with, you may trust, on the phone, usually 5 or 10 minutes of getting these details. And then they kind of take it the rest of the way for you, talking to the underwriters, sending emails to the right appropriate departments to get the answers for you. So it's a very non-invasive part of the process. It's kind of informal, but it gives you that certainty that when you go through the formal process, that you're going to have the best outcomes possible, right?
Correct. And the worst thing you can do is have an application denied, because that stays on your record. So if you're looking to apply for insurance down the road, the insurance companies are going to see that denial. So you can do something what's called an informal inquiry. And I actually had to do that for my son. My son, when he was 13, had to undergo chemo treatments, and he's 21 now. And I wanted to get him insurance because I wasn't sure how his health would change. And I said, let me get him insurance now. But before we even applied, most insurance companies have a form. It's called an informal inquiry. And they'll ask you to put some medical information down about the person you're going to inquire about. They will go out to the MIB and look for more details, and they may ask for an APS from the physicians. But again, you want to avoid that denial, because that's like a black mark on someone's credit history. And by doing an informal inquiry, you avoid that. And again, you're working in your client's best interest by doing that informal inquiry for those you think that are at risk.
Yeah, we use this kind of terminology, term of art, which says your health buys you coverage, and we're shopping the market based on your health. Well, kind of literally, that's what you're doing with the informal inquiries. You're shopping the market to see who's going to be the best fit in terms of what insurance product is going to be the best carrier, maybe for your specific situation. So I
Correct.
appreciate you joining us today, Rob, demystifying this area of insurance that people that are not in the business may not know about. And I'm really hoping to have you on future episodes as well. Thanks for joining us.
Well, thank you very much, Mark. Thank you very much, Mark. Appreciate it.